Hello, everybody, and how are you doing?
All right, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And today we are back with Shielding 101. Yeah, maybe some Piapples out there might learn something on how to do this. One certain Piapple, that is. Anyways, back to this thing. I've got everything shielded as far as the shielding paint goes. And right now I got a hole drilled here and a hole drilled there so I can start doing my mounts for my ground wires, because I want to make these all connect into the cavity and be able to work correctly as far as being a ground. So unfortunately, I don't have very many of these flat eye loops. I only have just this one. So I had to go in the garage and pull out some eye loops that I would use for, car audio stuff or car stuff in general. So I'm going to remove the plastic here. And I'm going to go ahead and insert the wire, and I got to squish that. So I got to crimp that down. So I'm just going to crimp it down with a pair of really, really, really heavy duty pliers. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there and push this inside here and then crimp it flat. I'm also going to put some solder on there to make sure that a nice tight connection. So I'll put that down. And what I'm going to do is basically sit it in here and then go this way with it. Pretty simple, pretty easy, not too complicated as far as doing this. And like I said, with everything shielded, because these two humbuckers can be switched over to be a single coil, that might create some noise because they're not humbuckers anymore. And I want to eliminate that completely. Now, I did have this guitar plugged in, and I wish I kind of had a video of it to show that there was a little bit of noise coming from the single coil side of these pickups. And, I don't have the proof to show any improvement as far as getting rid of it, but so you're going to have to take my word for it. Yeah, sorry, folks. So right now I want to add a little bit of solder to this to see if I can heat it up and get some solder to soak in there. Well, maybe not. Let's see. No, I can't pull that apart. It's pretty much squished. So yeah, I guess I don't need it. So what I want to do is I want to kind of measure this out, where this is at. Put a bend right there. And yeah, it looks like it's going to give me what I want. I'll just give it a little bit more here, because what I need to do is I need to strip some wire here. Some people will say, well, how do you strip a wire in the middle of in the middle here like this? Very carefully, just like this. And then cut through the braid all the way. There you go. So now I have a little bit of wire stripped out in the middle, and that is going to get tacked to this. So first off, I want to feed my wire through here, just like so. And I want to mount this, turn that a little bit. Now the reason why I'm going with something flatter here than over here is because this humbucker doesn't touch the bottom here. This, because it has the foam, touches, so I have to be kind of careful with how I do this. So I'm going to get some nice small screws. I've already pre-drilled my holes here. Put these screws inside of here. I don't want that to spin on me. Alright, so that's in place. I've got another small screw here. Fits pretty good. And what I want to do is push the insulation back a little bit in this here, bend, give this a little bit of a bend. I could just put a screw inside of here and be done with it, but you know, that's kind of not the right way of doing things. So I need to flatten this out a little bit. Alright, get my small screw. Did I bring another screw here? Oh yeah, here it is. Alright, put this screw inside of here. Oh, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? Well, not that difficult. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to tack where I stripped the wire right here. I want to tack that in place onto that little plate with some solder. Now I want to get this thing to stay where I put it, so I'm going to try to put something here to hold that wire in place. And yeah, so it's not going to stick up. Alright, so I've got my soldering gun. I need to clean my soldering pencil. Give a nice clean tip on there. And I'm going to go ahead and do this without burning anything up. Get some solder on my tip and get it to melt into place. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Not to make a mess out of things or anything. And if I pull it, it ain't coming loose. So now I need to feed this wire into this cavity here. So I'm going to tack in, well, maybe not tack them in, but get them in place. The pickups. I'm going to feed that wire in there. And start sliding this one through here. Alright. Move this over, turn this upside down. My pickup popped out. Gotta be careful, don't want to scratch or damage anything on the body of this. There you go. Pull as much as I can of this out. There you go. And I don't want to cross these wires too much. Now my ground is right over here. And I could possibly tack to it pretty easily without hitting anything else. So I need to cut this down about this much. Don't need to have that super long. Go ahead and strip some of the wire off of here. make sure when I hit this ground, I'm actually going to hit the ground and nothing else. All right, so I'm going to hook this a little bit. A little bit of a hook so I can get it around that pin where the ground is, just like that. And I'm going to hit some solder to tin it up a little bit. So a little bit more, not a lot more, but just a little bit. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach that wire to the ground right here. And she's on. So that's good. Now, here's the fun part. So I got this pickup out of the way. I got this pickup out of the way. Everything is grounded. I'm in the screen. I don't need my soldering gun no more. I can put that off to the side. I had to go hunting for screws and stuff in the garage for some parts. Now let's check out the multimeter. All right, so now these two cavities here should be grounded. This cavity here should be grounded. This should be grounded. This should be grounded. This cavity here should be grounded. 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 Yep. And also, it ought to be grounded and shielded in the back as well. So I'm going to go ahead and prop this up a little bit. Move the center pickup or the neck pickup out of the way. And I'm going to go and touch the shielding here. And I should be grounded on any of these screws. That's showing me I am grounded. Totally grounded, completely grounded, and grounded more. All right, so the next stop on this merry-go-round is to polish the body up on this thing. Get it to cleaned up and get rid of some of these smudge marks that are in the finish. Don't know if you can see them or not. So I'm going to hand rub it just like I do everything else using microfiber cloth and starting off with the Perfect rubbing compound by 3M. And then go with the machine polish and see where it goes from there. Alright, so if you hear any little noise in the background, I've got my little fan on. It's getting a little bit hot in here. So yeah, this thing's coming out really fucking nice. Almost like new. There's some flaws in the finish, not a lot of them, but there's a few. This is looking good. So like I said, black should be black, exception of a glare. It came out really, really nice. Guess what? I could put the damn thing back together now. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is get this neck and this body joined up, but I have to do something first. Now, these screws are the neck screws, alright? There's 4 of them, and the one problem with this is that when you put them in the hole, they don't go down into the body at all. They thread into the body. So the problem with this is that when you put the neck on, you have to really hold it tight down and put your screws in, and hopefully you don't have a gap between the neck and the body of the guitar. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So with a lot of these guitars, what I end up doing is I'll get a drill bit just a hair bigger than the screw itself. That's it, just a hair bigger, just so that screw can kind of like go in there and slide in there, but it's not moving around, it's not sliding around, it's not going to change the angle of the neck at all. So like I said, that drill bit is like just a touch, a hair bigger. So I already got that one done. I'm going to go and get the rest of them done. And let the drill bit do the work. Don't sit there and force it in there or try to go on an angle or anything else. You want to be as possibly as straight as possible in order to do this. And that's that. So let me get my compressed air. There is sawdust. Another thing you want to do is check on a neck too to see if there's any burrs around the holes that are, you know, for your mounting of your neck. And another way to correct this, if you do have burrs, which this one does, is a countersink tool. So I will take my countersink bit, tighten on there, and I'll just go a couple rounds. And get rid of that burr that was around each hole for the mounting of the neck. So now you know that neck is going to sit nice and tight, nice and flat on your body. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on place. Put my screws in there. There was no shim or anything on this guitar. I don't even think it needed one. So what's nice about this is once you start putting your neck on, you don't have to worry about that gap. What's going to happen is the whatever space that is between the neck and the body, the screw is going to pull that in without having to worry about threading through the body. Make sure these are tight, not like torque tight, but you want them evenly tight all the way around. That's that. So now she's starting to look like a guitar again. Wow, check that out. So next time, let's see here, I need my neck rest. There you go. So next time somebody ends up saying this to you,
mentally unstable individuals think about my ability to work on instruments.
So your reply to that is, you damn right you.
I do have the ability to clean these up, or clean instruments up. Ability to work on instruments.
Yeah, and all I have to say to that is, one, must have the ability to work on something in order to be able to work on something. Simple as that. Proof is in what is shown. So right now I'm going to work on cutting this nut. I already have it glued in place. It's nice and tight. It ain't going nowhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm sticking the old nut basically right up against it, even it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and mark it right with the nut. So that should give me a little bit of a mark here. Yes, it does. And I'm going to put that mark, make that mark a little bit more heavier. Oh, I have to remark it. See, I'm not doing this with a pencil or anything. I'm just doing this with the saws. Make sure I have this even again, right where I need it. There you go. Now I got a mark in the nut. Go ahead and do my sawing. So that's one slot done. Line this puppy up again, and I can see the mark really good. I don't know if you guys can, but I can. Get my next saw. See what I can do is to make that mark show up really good. I can put this in this slot and line that up right where it needs to be. And then give me my next saw. Where's the blade on this thing? And that gave me a mark. So I have my mark already set up for all my strings. Now I have to just lay my strings down on those marks and start adjusting my string height. Alright, so what I'm doing is I have the old nut here in my hand, and I'm checking the string spacing with the caliper. And I got a 6.96. So I'm going to go ahead and check it with this one here. And it is the same exact measurements as the other one. Can't get any better than that. So the next thing is to get ready for basically putting strings on here and tuning it up, getting my relief set, and then checking the action height at the nut, checking the action height at the 12th fret, and go from there. So I already have the bridge in place. You know, this bridge here is notched. I don't know if I mentioned it before or not. The notches in the saddles are wider on the low side, and on the higher side they are a little bit slimmer. And yeah, so that's telling me that these screws have to go this direction. So I got my 10s, and I'm going to start stringing this puppy up. Alright, so the guitar is strung. Now I need to tune it so I can see what the neck relief is going to be pulled at. Alright, my tuner in. Volume controls are all the way up. Neck relief, it's always fun. So I need a number 4. Put that in there. capo on here. And fret it where the body and the neck meet. It looks like I'm pretty good, but I want to check this out with the feeler gauge. 12 thousandths. Oh yeah, nice, real nice. So I want to start working on this nut over here. And I got a little trick on how I do that. So I take my rocker and I put it on top of my frets over here. And I measure with the feeler gauges what I have between the fret and the rocker. So I'm going to start off with a 32. And I only go over 2 frets. And 32 is still more than what I still need more. So let's go with an 18. 32 and an 18. See what that comes up with. Oh, that's too much. Let's go with a 32 and a 5. Well, that's it right there. 32 and a 5. Alright, so what I want to do is add 18 to that. There we go. Add 18 to that. And that gives me my action height. Alright, so what I ended up doing is instead of adding the 18 to the nut slots, I added 20 to the nut slots. And basically stuck my feeler gauges right here, took my files, and when I started hitting the feeler gauge, I stopped. So once I have the top of the nut now shaped, because there's a pretty deep groove right there now, what's going to happen is I can start putting my strings back on after I get my nut height down to a certain spot. Not the nut slots, but the nut height. And I could have left the nut off of the guitar and kind of did this and just shaved the bottom off of it, but I don't want to do that because I want to make sure that these strings are placed inside these slots the way they're supposed to be done, not sunken in really far. So I'm going to turn on a fan because I'm dying in here. It's getting really hot. And go to town on this. Alright, so what I'm looking for here is basically to see if the string is sitting in the nut or on the nut. And when I mean on the nut, I mean that half of the string is sitting upwards, which the bass side is. Half of the string is sitting on top of the nut, not sunken into the nut. And I'm looking at the higher strings. Let's see here. And just by feeling them, I can feel how deep they're sitting. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't change a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and tune this thing up again. Sorry about the fan noise. All right. So string action height right now is at 20 thousandths on the first fret. It's kind of not bad. You could go a little bit lower in that to make it a little bit more easier or more comfortable to play. But I think for 20 thousandths across the board, I think that's all right. Action height, I do have to adjust the action height at the first fret, or I mean at the bridge. But right now what I want to check is if I can hear any type of a sitar sound. And if that's the case, if I do, I need to change the angle of the nut to go back into slots a little bit, so it goes this way, not so straight. Nope, no sitar sound. So I'm going to let these strings stretch out. I'm going to get this dust off of here. There's a lot of fucking dust all over this counter now. I got my nut where I want it to be. As far as the strings inside of it, there shouldn't be no binding, shouldn't have any problems. It's a lubricated nut, bone. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. And I got to say, this has been a pretty cool experience with this guitar. I like this guitar, even though a lot of people love to hate it. But, yeah. But yeah, look at this fucking dust over here. So I'm going to blow this guitar off. Blow this thing off really, really good. And yeah, just starting to be something. So I'm going to stretch out these strings a little bit. I'm going to retune it. Don't stretch them out so hard you're going to break them. And that should have thrown me off pretty good. Oh yeah, it's not even in tune anymore. Nice, very nice. Love it, like it. Can't beat it. All right, guys, take it easy.
And in regards to the Harley Benton and the Fender CD60, can you see a price difference between a $126 Canadian guitar and we will say that is a $350 Canadian guitar?
All right, so after watching this, so you can buy a used vehicle for the sticker price as if it was new. Is that how this works? So let me straighten out something here. Did some research because I was looking at the Gibson SGs J series a while back and kind of looking at them right now as far as price goes. So a 2014 Gibson SG J used goes for American price $649.99, and it kind of ranges up from there. A little bit down depending on condition. And that is the same thing as a faded brown, an original, which has no modifications done to it. So in Canadian price, that's $905.62. All right. So he traded a $905 guitar that he modified, and it was kind of in a little bit of a shitty condition. So in shitty condition, that probably would have been somewhere around $750. All right. For a US $199 to $250, which in Canadian is $277 and $318, and I'm not counting the change. Yeah, and he's pricing the acoustic as if it was still new, and it's not. It's used. I always look at the prices of guitars when I'm looking on eBay or any place else for that matter. I look to see what that guitar went for new. I look what that guitar goes for used, the lowest price in considering condition. and what the highest price used, considering condition. And if I can get in between somewhere around there, more towards the low side of used pricing, but in excellent or, depending on condition, I consider that a win-win. I didn't have to pay full price of it being new, and I didn't have to pay full price of what it is used. Yeah, just going over the numbers, man, you got ripped off. At least it looks that way.